specialty media house with brands like DataQuest, PCQuest, Voice and Data, DARE, CIOL, Global Services. He was conferred as the National Entrepreneurship Award as the best mentor by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. He's on the Investment Management Committee of the 10,000 crore fund of funds set up by the Government of India. He's the chief mentor of Electropreneur Park, Delhi and Bhubaneswar. He's the co-founder of India Angel Network, and as an angel investor has mentored over 250 startups across various domains. He's the past president of Pan IIT Alumni India and the Association of Indian Magazines. He's the recipient of Distinguished Alumni Award at IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta and the Helen Keller Award for working in the disability sector. He's an engineer from IIT Delhi, one of my beloved seniors as well, and an MBA from IIM Calcutta. Mr. Prashant, Mr. Pradeep, can we please have you on the stage, sir?
Wonderful having you here, Prashant. And, IIT Madras. So why don't you just share a very brief sketch of till you started Ease My Trip?
Till I started Ease My Trip?
Yeah. After that,
No problem.
Move on to another segment.
Regular all Delhi boy. Wanted to be as far away as from family, so that's why I chose IIT Madras. That was the only reason. Studied there for 4 years. I was barely at IIT Madras. My then girlfriend was in Bangalore. She was 3 years senior to me. So she had a job in Bangalore. So I literally, stayed with her most of the time and would just go to campus to write exams. And then afterwards, I got a job at Capital One, directly from IIT Madras. So moved to Richmond, Virginia. Worked there for 2 years. Then switched to HSBC in Chicago. And then I was very sure that I want to go back and start something. And that's how Ease My Trip happened.
Wonderful. So, your profs at IIT Madras, how would they describe you?
Oh, they would describe me absentee.
Okay.
In fact, I remember this. One of the professors at Physics 101, or no, not Physics 101, some other professor, but Physics professor, he said that if Prashant and one more person attends the class, he would not take attendance and he would assume everybody's present.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how would your batchmates describe you?
My batchmates would describe me as a person who always was extremely big proponent of staying in India. And, almost all throughout my IIT, I would advise people not to write GRE. And then, unfortunately, I got a job at Capital One. Almost everybody had applied for Capital One, and I was planning not to apply for that job because I just didn't want to go out of India. And for the 4 years, this is what I've been telling my friends, that we need to be in India, we need to create jobs in India, we need to be entrepreneurs over here. And then the Capital One came in, and my friend said that hona to hai nahi. Everybody's going to apply and they're going to take one or two. So you
Practice hi ho jayegi.
So you might as well just go and enjoy the interview process. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Why would I get it? They only usually take 1 or 2 people. So after like 20 odd rounds of interview, which happened for 2 days, and I was good enough in fooling them that I deserved that spot. And then it was too late to back out, because then everybody would just beat me to death that I got the job and I did not go. So it would be called as RG ho jati na pure college ko ki ek job kha gaya. So I had to go.
Okay, so now let's start with the Ease My Trip part. And you are a person who has broken a lot of conventional wisdom. So let me start off by getting into the travel business, because Make My Trip was already there, right?
Make My Trip, Clear Trip, Yatra,
Clear
Ixigo,
Trip,
Ibigo.
Yatra,
They all existed.
Ixigo. So
Everybody
there were huge
experiences
number
it.
of people already there. And one of the wisdom that is always given by investors to startups is, oh, listen, this space is now already gone, this is taken. There are so many people already there, pick up a new area and so on. So why did you pick up
No, it's a great question, and almost every time I get this question asked, basically, it's not that we chose the industry chose us. My 2 younger brothers, 100 times more brilliant than I am, while I was working in the US, they actually started a mom and pop travel agency called as Duke Travel Agency. Now, these two youngsters out of one was in school and one was in college, started Duke Travel Agency, and they managed to, basically piss off some people at Air Deccan. What they did was they actually hacked Air Deccan in year 2006 and or 2007. Do you guys remember 1 rupee air ticket? Air Deccan used to do 1 rupee air ticket. So thanks to my two young brilliant brothers, we would get all that 1 rupee air ticket.
Wonderful.
And then they would sell it off either on profit or they would just waste it. And people at Air Deccan got sick and tired of them just taking all the tickets. So they said that, hey, if you guys are so brilliant, why don't you take North India agency of Air Deccan? So this is how Duke Travel Agency started. And Duke Travel Agency was doing decently okay because it was the entire distributorship of North India. And I'm like, this is the perfect time to go back, and then we
But
together.
then they lost a lot of money also.
Oh
right?
yeah, I lost a lot of money. They were doing okay. So move back to India. We said, okay, let's create a 2.0 version of Duke Travel Agency and let's start Ease My Trip, which is basically completely online, and let's serve people. And oh boy, in the second month of me coming back, we lost 26 lakh rupees. A lot of money. That was a lot of money for a bootstrap founders like us. Almost the entire saving or whatever I could save in the US. We lost 26 lakh overnight. And I'm not going to get into detail how we lost it, but we lost it. And, I almost thought that I'm going to write to my boss in the US, sorry, please take me back. But then sanity or insanity prevailed. And we said, let's give it another go. And since then, Ease My Trip has never come to a place where we were about to shut.
So what did you do differently? You're number 2 today. So what was it?
So, firstly, we didn't do much differently. Firstly, my first trip when I came back to India was actually to Bangalore. I thought, hey, I'm like a guy, IIT, US, I may be able to raise some funds, right? So, Bangalore was the Makkah and Medina to raise funds. I came to Bangalore immediately after coming to India. And I thought, oh boy, I'm going to get money very easy, right? That's what my thought was. And damn, I almost got laughed off in various investors meetings that, hey, you're too late to start this. So many people have already started this. We have picked our bets. I remember people I met in those days, and they were right. We did not realize that how many people have come in this industry, and they have done so wonderfully well for themselves. And everybody had picked their bet. So we couldn't raise money. I stayed away for 3-4 days. And then I realized that there's no point even having a follow-up meeting. It's very clear and evident that this space is completely overfilled and oversubscribed. And then we went back to our business. The business at that time was not, excuse me. No, it's okay. The business at that time was not basically serving consumers, but it was actually serving travel agents. The first version of Ease My Trip was basically a software for travel agents. Since we were a travel agent ourselves, we knew how could we serve travel agents better. That was the first version of Ease My Trip. So I remember after 1 or 2 days of meeting investors, I just went about meeting travel agents in Bangalore to do my business. And for the first 3 years, we basically just targeted travel agents. But I have the honor to speak to all of you because I think we went this way. We created a product we created basically a utility first, and then we moved to the product. For the first 3 years, it was a B2B company, and then we became B2C company. And that is how we were able to create our software, relationship with airlines, learn about the operations, and then become a consumer company. Right now, 97% of our business is consumer. Almost 20 million people use us on annual basis to book their flights and hotels and buses and everything. But had we started competing with Make My Trips or the likes of them in the beginning, there was no chance we could have survived.
Right.
So I actually say this often. The best way to become a product is actually to surrogate yourself into it by starting as a service first. Start as a service, surrogate yourself in, and then start competing with the products.
Right. So new wisdom number 1 is that you can enter into a crowded space also, but pick your spot beautifully.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then you can really...
I can only speak from the hindsight perspective. At
Right.
that time, we did not know what we were doing. Now I can connect the dots and can say that yes, it would have worked only this way. It could not have worked any other way.
Wonderful. Okay, now conventional wisdom number 2, right? Which is that you do an angel round, then you do a Series A, Series B, and more important than that, you burn money. Because, until and unless you burn money, investors say, Arey, you're not burning money, something must be wrong with you, right? That is the typical kind of a thing. But you have never burnt money after that initial stage. So, why did you think that you need to do it differently?
I mean, it's good, right? That if we could do it profitably. I mean, the thing was that we, in the first 6 years of EaseMy Trip, we had only invested 15 lakh rupees in the company. And that too, it's not like ek saath 15 lakh rupees laga diye. 5 lakh, 4 lakh, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, like that. Because we come from a humble background and that's all we could afford. So we did put a little bit amount of money, and the only thought process was that, we cannot afford to let it go. I mean, not having a plan B is a great plan A, right? So that was something which kept us going. For the first 6-7 years, we were on zero salary. It was barely breaking even for first 6-7 years.
But there was no temptation, at least let's say after 3-4 years, to go and do an angel round.
We tried multiple times.
Oh, okay.
Till year 2015, we tried. I believe that people were right. We exist purely because of our hustle. Otherwise, we were written off all this while. I have read our obituary multiple times myself. Our competitors would start spreading this thing, right? Saying that, hey, EaseMy Trip, paisa hi nahi hai unke paas, so kya jiyenge, kab tak jiyenge, right? So I must have read and heard about it from the airlines. Sir, tum to band hone wale the na? Nahi, hum hain, abhi bhi hai. So after 2015, things started changing, and we did get quite a few VCs and PEs as well who were interested in EaseMy Trip. But the business was growing at 75% annually while making profit. So, I remember this very clearly, that there was one VC who came to our office, understood everything in year 2015, and offered us $57 million check for certain equity in the company at that moment. And his advice was basically to go all out and use that money to basically promote EaseMy Trip even further. And we felt like that would make us be in red, and we have always been in green. So we said that we accept your money. Thank you so much for this check, but we are going to put this money in the FD, and you are going to get your, that's the best use we can do with your money right now. We are growing at 75% per annum. We don't feel the need to grow by 150%, 200% per annum. And that's the best we could do. And he took his check and he went back.
Okay, so new wisdom number 2 is that, there was life before the word burn rate was discovered, all right, in the mid-90s. And I think that is, again, a very, very old traditional wisdom that we should go back to. Okay, so so now EaseMy Trip is established and so on, okay? And you do an IPO. And I think one of those rare cases of startups, I think the only example of, perhaps I can think of 1 or 2 more examples of companies which have straight away gone and done their IPO, all right? So that was yet again one break which was there. You could have taken that $17 million and so on. So, just share the IPO journey.
See, again, I'll go back in time in year 2019. We clearly understood that a private equity or, an investor money wouldn't make sense for us because we are growing and we are growing profitably. So then a couple of bankers approached us and said that, hey, I mean, you probably are very well poised to be a listed company. So why not even think about that? And the primary reason for us to go public were 2, and I could be extremely honest around it. First is that we were 100% bootstrap, right? We 3 brothers owned 100% of the shares. So we had no idea of what value have we created. There is no external money which has ever come inside. So we did not know for the last 12 years what value have we created for ourselves, for our employees, for ourselves. So that was reason number 1, why we wanted to understand what value it has been created for EaseMy Trip. And second was obviously by having large number of shareholders who are your well-wishers, who hold your shares, also promotes the company. Right now, EaseMy Trip has about 6 lakh people who hold their shares. And half the time people say they use EaseMy Trip, half the time people say they are the shareholders of the EaseMy Trip, which is a very proud feeling, right? To have so many shareholders. And I believe that they are doing a very good job in promoting EaseMyTrip right now, which is telling people that why not use EaseMyTrip instead of others, who's a homegrown company, not charging convenience fees, one of the best services, and other things. So I think that by getting listed, we did the right thing for the company.
Wonderful. And within that year, you finished the year at 8,000 crores and 130 crore profit, right?
Last year, our GMV was 8,000 crores and profit after tax was 140 crores.
140 crores. A big round of applause for a great journey that has been there. But even this year, you are growing at. Okay, so before that, a few very quickies. How would your employees describe you?
Oh, they are not over here, right? Well, depends, right? Many of my employees have seen me through various phases. And of course, I wasn't born as an entrepreneur, so I am also learning as we speak. I think the first 5 years, I was very relentless, very task oriented, very brutal at some level. I would say the first 5 years. And then I did a lot of vipassana, I did a lot of meditation to
Team building and all
to
those.
got better, and I found people to outsource the job, to yell at people, and I be the calmer guy.
So now you have an HR department.
Yeah,
and
so now we have other people to say things, and I just go on and say nicer things. So I think no, overall people would say that I have a very high level of expectation from myself, and since I have a very high level of expectation from myself, it keeps people on their toes by itself.
And how would your shareholders describe you?
Shareholders, I mean, yesterday this happened. I was eating pani puri before coming last night, and I wanted to see how Bangalore's pani puri is. And there was a girl next to me, and like, "You're Prashant Pitti, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "I'm one of your shareholders." I'm like, "Oh wow, thank you." Like, "Thank you for making money for us." I'm like, "Great." So I guess since our share has went up by 3.5, 4 times since the listing, people have made good money, and I'm glad they did.
Good. And because there are a lot of technology people here, so a very quick question on that. What were some of the technological changes that you brought about? WhatsApp, for instance, you went and so on, which created a difference. And looking ahead with Gen AI coming and so on, what do you think are some of the changes over the next 5 to 10 years that you see technology bringing about in the travel business?
I have a very hot take of what changes we're gonna see in travel industry, and could be controversial as well. I believe that hotel industry is going to be massively disrupted. The way I see 10 years from now, specifically hotel industry is going to be massively disrupted. You're going to have, using quantum computers which are coming, using the AI which is happening right now. I believe that the traveling salesman problem will be solved. And I'm sure many of you would be aware about traveling salesman problem, which is not solved yet, would be solved. And with that, we will basically start seeing a lot of pods which are self-driven. And these pods probably will have a bed, a coffee table, a coffee maker, and you just get inside that pod and it takes you from point A to point B while you're sleeping at the night. So a lot of hotels which are used for overnight stays might actually just vanish. A lot of hotels which are next to the airport probably won't exist 10 years from now. I believe that similarly, I think world is moving towards de-infrastructuralization. Earlier, we had developed nations because they had big infrastructures. Now we are going to see developing nations take the next leap because infrastructures won't even be required. That's what I think technology is going to do in the next 10 odd years. But that's just my take. I have so many other takes as well. So I would rather be quiet because many of them are very controversial in nature.
My last set of questions, Prashant Pitti, the person. Okay, how would your father describe you?
How would I? I mean, I wish he describes me the way I want me to be described. But I think overall, our parents are decently proud of us. We come from a very humble background. And, I think he feels proud to say that we have created something. We are three brothers. We are still working together. We are still living together. Overall, I think we are three brothers. We all have taken very different aspect of our father. And I was telling this to my mother that I realized that our father is the best of all three. What my youngest brother might have taken from my father is he's extremely hardworking. Like he can work for 18, 20 hours non-stop, sleep for 2, 3 hours and still go back to work. Rikant, extremely hardworking. Nishant, my younger brother, he's extremely daring. Like nobody can dare to speak in front of him. He's that kind of daring person in a good way. He commands respect wherever he goes. And I think what I may have borrowed from my father is just being extremely high on integrity. I believe that I sleep better if somebody has to pay me, but I don't have to pay anyone. I keep all the accounts, everything extremely clear. And I just wish that, people treat me the way I want them to be treated. So that's all.
And how would your wife describe you?
I don't think so any entrepreneur's wife would describe them nicely. I'm always missing. I'm not around kids. I'm not around her. Yesterday also we had a small fight where she's like, you never listen to me. So that's probably how I know how she would describe me. I hope that she describes me better behind my back. But in front of me, this is how she describes me.
And your children?
Sorry?
And your children?
My children are 8 and 6. They are too young to know that their father has flaws. Right now, they think that their dad is a superhero. I hope that I can continue to make them think that way. But eventually, we all find flaws in our parents. So will they.
Ladies and gentlemen, Prashant Petti.